everyone, welcome to GreyWolf again. My name's Brian. So today's video is going to be on this case. It is an unboxing of the Gamdias Atlas M1 WH, which is white. So now this specific one I got for a couple of different reasons, and I'll go over those as we unbox it and everything. This case, 70-80 bucks range, not very expensive, but it's supposed to be packed with some great features. We'll take a look and see what all it looks like, what it has with it, but it's a little different because it's a white case. This is going to be replacing my main case, which is black, so it'll be interesting. If you've been watching the updated videos as I've been posting them, you've probably already seen some of the parts that are going to go into this, and we will be doing a video on building this system as we go. So we'll post that later as well. But this is going to be an unboxing of the Atlas M1 WH case from Gamdias. So let's go ahead and take a look and see what we get for our $70-80 before tax. Oops. Their boxing is not very good. So the cardboard's thin enough that it tore just by opening the tape and pulling at the box lid. And also when I took off the label, it ripped part of the cardboard. So it's weaker cardboard than the average case box. So the tape, however, is amazing. All right, give me 1 second. I'll be right back. Alright, I'm back. So I'm going to use that. And we're going to set this down in case we need it again later. So again, cardboard isn't the best. I've seen like the ink come off with a label, but rarely, unless it's cheaply made, does the actual cardboard rip when you take a label off. At least when I do it, because I go slow. And typically, unless it's cheap cardboard, these flaps don't rip like that did when I'm taking it and opening it. So that kind of disappointing on the boxing materials. I'm not seeing any major issues with the box. I do see a dent that is almost like it went through and there's a slice on it where somebody like cut wrap, but nothing that looks like it penetrated enough to harm the case. So let's take a look and see what the case looks like. All right. So let's go ahead. All right, it's decent weight to it. It's not the heaviest case that I've ever opened. That would probably be the Performance F1 or FT1 or whatever from Antec. That thing's like 40 pounds by itself. Oh, man, that thing was heavy. It hurt my back. But let's take a look and see what this one is. Now, I'm going to say 5 to 10 pound range. It's not overly heavy, but it's not cheap to the point of like a Rosewill case where you feel it and you're like, is this even a case? Looks like this is going to have the same one primary issue that I saw with the previous case that I unboxed, the Y6 from Mustex. It's great that it includes fans, especially that it comes with 3, and these are actually RGB as opposed to the plain whites that were in the other one. However, no, I actually may be wrong. These may actually be reverse fans, but they're facing physically the wrong direction if they're not reverse fans. But looking at them deeper, I believe they actually are reverse fans. So never mind, that negative is actually not valid. So these are good fans that are set up the right way, with one exception that isn't necessarily their fault. It's just a taste preference of mine. So the fans have the cables on the top. So the fans sit like this and the cables are coming out this way. makes it a little unsightly. That's not a big deal. I'll just undo 4 screws for each fan, rotate it, and it'll fit the way I want it, and it'll look the way I want it. Not a big deal. The fact that they're reverse fans actually impresses me because that means that they are actually going the correct direction, and you will see the RGB from the direction that I want it to be seen. When you look at it this way, you will still see RGB on this side, so it'll hit, in my case, the wall, but it's coming in this way, coming around and then out the back, and that's how I want the airflow. The Gamdias fans, visually I'd rate them a 6 instead of an 8 or a 10, but they're better than they could be, worse than they could be. Reverse fans though is a positive, so it does look very nice. Let's go ahead though and open it up a little bit and see what's inside. You do have a dust cover up top, which is magnetic with a little grooved area for it to sit in, so it's nice and easy to do. On the back, the side panel that's going to be the rear of mine, it does have, screw-in items, which I will give a -1 point on that. And they're not captive, so a -1 on that. So in this situation, with it being said, it's not a deal breaker for me because I'm going to end up keeping this. These are not fun, especially when you have issues like I do with the nerve damage. So that's a negative point there. And then the fact that they don't stay in it. For example, my Corsair 4000D case has a screw for the front panel, the glass panel side, but it's captive. So I screw it in and it stays into place. I unscrew it, it still sits there and moves around with the door as opposed to having to not lose it. So again, negative point there. Side panel removes easily overall though. You've got a bag of screws, some sort of channel guide piece that I'm not familiar with, so I'll have to figure out that. Does not seem to have instructions with the case that I've seen yet, so we'll have to look for that a little bit. You do have a 3.5-inch mount down in the basement. It's supposed to be a pretty large space for the power supply. According to what it says, it's more than enough space for my power supply by about 2 or 3 centimeters, which does not sound like a lot, but should be enough for the cables. There is a tray on the back here that looks like it holds 2 SSDs on the same tray, side by side, so that's good. The screw that they use, I'm not worried about the color. The fact that it's silver is fine. Silver screws with white cases are perfect, as opposed to black screws which stand out. The silver screw is fine. The issue that I have is the type of screw is just the standard type of screw that you would use for like the mounting of a graphics card, as opposed to something more like a thumb screw. So I do need a screwdriver to remove the sled, put the SSDs in or off, and then put it back into place. Again, -1 point on that, could be better. I'm seeing cabling for USB front panel stuff. We've got, I don't know what the deal is with that. So let's see here. I'm assuming that this is the RGB connection, but I don't see. The key to me buying this was that the RGB is supposed to be able to be used through the motherboard. If not, I may have to buy additional fans, which will kind of be frustrating for me. But I will try and do an update on this video, letting you all know if that is the case or not. I do see the power switch connector. It looks like the reset button is plugged into something up here. So power switch, no reset switch. I don't see a reset switch, so that may be another negative point. It's not a deal breaker again, it's just a nicety that I prefer to have in my cases. But I do see front panel USB 3 and USB-C cables. So looking at the front here, It does have a reset switch. So it has a power button, a temp button, which is going to do the display, which I'll show in a second here. Not it being used, but show you where it's at. It does have a reset button, so there should be something floating around inside that I just didn't see. And then it has lights for hard drive and power, and then it's got a headphone jack for headsets, and then it's got USB 3 and USB-C port, one of each, so nothing big. Let's go ahead and pull off the glass panel. It snaps off. I love that. It could have been better if the back had had the same thing. I do like that this one does that. It makes it easier on me. This is the display screen that I was talking about, where it's going to display the temps. This is the power button, temp button to switch which temp you're looking at, because you're supposed to be able to view just the CPU temp, just the GPU temp, or both, if I remember correctly, but at least one for each of the two. And then it's got a reset switch over here. Then you've got your lights, and then you've got the headphone jack, the USB 3 and the USB-C. There are fan mounts for going up or down up top. There's 2 mounts here and 1 mount here. These are all 120 millimeters, if I remember correctly. The rear does not have the channels for a larger fan, so you are stuck with 120s, whether you replace it with a different one or use the one that comes with it. These fans, again, same thing. Channels are only for the one size, so you're stuck 120s on the 3 of these, and just 3 total, so you can't do like 2 140s or 3 120s on these here, and this here is just a single. But that's not a big deal for me. I actually like 120s, and I like 2 on the front and 1 on the back. That looks perfect for me. The ones up top, I'll probably put 2 plain white 140s going up, and then it fits up to an ATX case, so I may end up having to put some additional screw points in. I do like that these channels up here for the cables, for like the power cable, are up here. I will probably route them straight to the motherboard, and that should not block the cables, which is nice for me. Down here you've got the cable guides as well. You've got front ones here. The only negative to it, and out of like 100 points I'd say -1, is the fact there's no grommets covering them, so they're just open spaces. However, they are rounded, so you're not slicing your finger. So that's a positive there. So kind of not really any major significant difference there. It does look like I will, however, need to do at least 2, possibly 5 or so new screw holes for the mounts for the standoffs that I'll have to insert the standoffs. But that's not a big deal. That's pretty common that you have to add or remove standoffs in cases, depending on what motherboard you choose as opposed to what they have it prepared for. It looks like it's set up for an MATX or micro ATX motherboard, which is fine. A lot of people go with those. I'm going with an ATX motherboard, so I do need those additional pieces. So I'd say overall, probably a 6.5 to a 7 out of 10. Not an excellent, ultra great case, but by no means a bad case. I would say Rosewill is typically around a 4 or 5. This is somewhere closer to a 6 or 7. So definitely a nice case. Will it work for me? Probably. Will it be my favorite case of all time? We will have to check and see. But I think it's going to be fun. So I hope that this video helps you decide if this is the right case for you or not. And if you haven't already, hit the subscribe button that should be in this general area over here so that you can keep up to date on our new videos and our community section. And as always, if you have any questions about myself, the product, or the channel, make sure you leave those down below in the comments section. So thank you for watching, everyone. Have a great day. Bye for now.